Hello, how are you doing? Nice to be here. Travelled up with Ben Galloway this morning. Nice early start. Got nice and fresh. Had a good chat about various things coming on. I met with Keith earlier on this year, and we were just talking about various things. And I suppose what I wanted to come and talk to you about a little bit is what I do sort of on a day-to-day working within Sport England around looking at our coach education system, exploring whether it's fit for purpose and whether it's going to help us to be able to achieve the various things we want to achieve. And as some of you may know, I've been very influenced by kind of the ecological approach. And interestingly, we're beginning to see quite a significant shift in sports policy towards, at the very least, more, I guess, ecologically influenced ideas around the way in which we can support people to become more physically active. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit about my role in that, I suppose, in terms of how we've tried to sort of, or we're still in the process, if you're honest, but the journey we're on in terms of changing coaching. So the first thing to say is the government has probably, I don't imagine there's many people in this room who are, but I'm not a massive fan of this government. Not just this government, but all the previous ones as well, for a wide range of different reasons. But they have done something quite good in sport. And what they've done is recognised in their sports strategy that sport is a bit more than just counting heads. Because for a long time, all we've done is spend time basically increasing participation and counting heads, and sports were basically paid to get more numbers. And the idea being is if the numbers go up, you get more money. If the numbers go down, you're chastised and the money is reduced. They describe it as a carrot-shaped stick. Money is used as an influencer to drive participation. And all that's done really is put sports in competition with each other. They've made them less collaborative, the sectors become less collaborative, and as a result, the race to the bottom has increased, as Mark, who's quietly sitting in the back, desperately trying not to tackle me. I've got all my put-downs ready, Mark, don't you worry. All the sports have really done is just try and just get participants earlier and earlier, and as a result, keep them in the system as long as possible, and then see participation increases. That's not the case in all sports. Some are a little bit more open-minded than that. So what sports policy did was, what the sports strategy did, it said, look, we obviously want to increase participation, but the reason we want to increase participation is because of the value of what sport brings. And so these outcomes are really what are the kind of key drivers for sport policy now, around the idea of obviously we derive physical development, but individuals develop as individuals. We can create social and community development. We can improve people's mental well-being, and obviously there's a case to be made around economic development, and that's particularly relevant to the world of coaching. And as you can tell, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work out that coaches are pretty much at the heart of this, because sport and physical activity, it's a service sector, an entertainment sector, if you like, in lots of ways, in the sense that we often, the sport or the physical activity is provided through the medium of a service provider, and in many cases that is a coach. So from our perspective, what's been great about this is in the previous cycles, nobody cared really about coaching, if I'm totally honest, because nobody could evidence that coaching made any particular difference on participation numbers. I would always challenge that, but we found it very difficult to evidence that. Yet when you're starting to talk in this language, then you're starting to talk about quality of experience. And if you're measuring quality of experience, then the people at the heart of the quality of the experience become very important to you. So we've seen quite a significant shift. So off the back of that, written into that government strategy was, if you like, the exam question, which was a series of tasks that said that Sport England would develop a coaching plan, we would revise qualifications, we would make it more accessible, we make them more adaptable so that they can teach a range of physical activity, we'd expand and diversify what we mean by coach, and we would explore opportunities through digital to reach the audiences in different ways. So that's the task that we were sort of set, if you like, and then I came along and they said, right, if you can just write a plan that does all that, that'd be great. I've been at it for a while. What you now see at Sport England is 3 people strategies. I've been responsible for the production of 2. Coaching and Active Nation came out in 2016, and it's the first coaching plan that Sport England's ever had. Just going to leave that there. It's really a fascinating thing, to be honest, that it's taken until 2016 for Sport England to have a coaching plan. Now, part of the reason for that was there used to be a thing called the UK Coaching Framework, which Sport England, like most country sports councils, was aligned to. But what we found was that started to take us in a different direction, and what's happened within the UK as a result of the evolution is England has a different strategic objective to Wales and Scotland, and as a result we need a different workforce. So therefore it became incumbent on us to look at how we could develop that workforce to meet those strategic aspirations. So we are seeing a fragmentation of UK-wide sport coach development, coach education. So coaching and activation came out, volunteering came out the day after. It's like the twin sister of that. And then for some reason, because I'm stupid, I put my hand up and said I'd write this professional workforce strategy as well. Now you might ask me why not just one for all people development, workforce development. That would make sense. It just didn't work out like that. We may well move in that direction. But all of these strategies speak to each other because obviously coaches, the bulk of them, 1.9 million of them are voluntary, and then 900,000 of them are paid. And so the paid ones are taken care of here, the voluntary ones are taken care of here, and then we've got some specifics around coach education and development that we're looking to do through the coaching plan. But they all speak to each other because very few people in our sector actually just live in one domain. So if I take myself, for example, I'm a volunteer coach. Ben came along and was volunteering with me in my community club. I'm a volunteer coach, I'm a paid coach developer, and I've got a career in the sport and physical activity sector. And a lot of people are like that, and so as a result, we need these different strategies to support them. Now, the first thing we did is set about expanding what we mean and diversifying what we mean by coach. So we spent some time agonising over this, and we decided that we wanted to articulate a lot of the coaching activity up to now had been centred around coach behaviour and what coaches do. And what we wanted to do was to try and articulate coach education and development through the eyes of participants. So our definition, if you like, or how we define the mission, if you like, is to improve a person's experience of sport and physical activity through specialised support based on needs and aspirations, wants and needs. And if you like, that's our mission. And we have a much broader remit now. So traditionally, Sport England worked through governing bodies, but now we really ought to be called Sport and Activity England because our aim is to tackle activity amongst the most underrepresented people in society. And that is quite a significant challenge. We recently launched a campaign called We Are Undefeatable, which is targeting people with long-term health conditions and enabling them or supporting them to become more physically active. And the coaching plan has to speak to that agenda. It has to speak to the agenda around children and young people and safeguarding. It has to speak to the agenda around talent. It has to speak to the agenda around increased sports participation amongst the traditional sports sector. So it wasn't an easy task to try and do that. So written, I guess, a bit like a framework. In theory, it's what are they going to build? What are the building blocks going to be in order to be able to do that? Ideally, what we're trying to do is to have a bit like less of this. So that's the rugby club at the end of my road. And had I not been standing there, that poor child probably would have fallen over. But the individual who was doing all the shouting didn't even know he was there. So I was working in rugby at the time, and we just brought about this change in the way the rugby youth experience was supposed to be happening. And I went on to the club a little bit incognito, didn't have my kit on, and saw this and thought, oh dear, better do something about this. So I approached this gentleman, and you can see from the I'm not holding the camera here, but you can still see he's quite big. And I just sort of thought I just want to share this video with you that I've taken because I just wanted to just get your thoughts about that. I obviously made sure I had several people with me. And what was really interesting in his response was, firstly, He really didn't have any recollection of that moment. And he was actually he was a bit annoyed initially that I'd done this secret video on him recently, so it was a little bit negative, but however. But he was quite aghast actually at the fact that now, the reason I'm telling you all this is that this goes on all over the place, right? This is normal, right? He has a qualification. He has had training and education, and I know what that course is like, and that course doesn't say scream and shout at kids and barge people out of the way. It definitely doesn't say that. So this individual is acting in contravention of his training and education, because we talk an awful lot about experience and well-being of individuals and all these sorts of things. And so that for me is like, well, there's a little bit of a disconnect. And we've got somebody there who's been on training. Now, if you've not been qualified, because you see an awful lot of people out there in tracksuits with a coach on the back who aren't. And if you've not had any form of training education whatsoever, well, you can be a bit more forgiving. But he's got the training and education, so what's going on here? So we knew that, and we were hearing this story all over the place. So we knew we had to do a review of what our coach education system looked like. We knew it wasn't working for us. So we used to have this thing called the UK Coaching Certificate, and it had this big, lofty ambition, which was that we were going to create, based on these different audience groups, children, we were going to have master coaches of children. And it was like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. How can we recognise people who are brilliant at providing physical activity for young people? But it never happened. What we ended up with was a linear pathway based on a talent journey. And so as a coach, if you want to progress in generally through the levels, you have to move through the talent journey. And so as a result, to be deemed a high-performing or high-performance coach, you have to work in a high-performance environment. In many sports, if you want to do a level 3 or a level 4, you have to be in high performance. Because in their minds, it's not a high-performance role to work in a community space with children. I would beg to differ, and as Ben will attest to with the youngsters that we were working with last night, that's got, you need some significant skill to do that well. So we need to address that particular challenge. And then we went through the review and we looked at a whole range of different things came out in the review. And Manchester Met helped us with the work. It doesn't allow for prior learning. We don't see enough ongoing flexible learning. Online learning needs to be put loads of material condensed into a small period of time. Volunteers can only turn up for a period of time, so we've got to get everything into 2.5 days and assume that they're going to get everything they need to know that's going to equip them then to go out and work in a range of different community contexts. We know that just wasn't working. As the strategic environment shifted, we needed to make the UKCC move in that way as well. It needed to become more inclusive. We knew that we've got significant underrepresentation. And then there's a whole range of other areas that we need to look at drilling into as well. So we saw big issues around diversity, and then the final bit is terminology. And in fact, a lot of people are already put off by coaching and coach education because they sort of see it as a little private conclave of people who just spoke to each other in their own language. And I've certainly discovered that working in Sports England. Lots of people are like, don't really get the coaching thing. Why is it so complicated? It's just turning up and doing something. So for example, conversations about representative learning design, we don't have those. But we're beginning to, which is a good thing. Broadly speaking, we now need to move in a slightly different direction. Now, just going on to this now, this is my club, right? Just as a bit of an additional example. So I just want to give you an example of the coaching that goes on in my club. I'm going to point out the coaches. There's one. Both of you, both in the 20s. I'm not, in case you're thinking I put that out as a model of good practice. The reason I'm putting that out there is we've got 2 young coaches there who are leading activity. I ran a workshop within the club, so the coach educator bring and copy. And we ran a workshop on introduction to coaching and coaching children, engaging children. And the whole workshop was very practical in nature, generally speaking. There was quite a strong theoretical basis, but we tried to be quite practical. And we tried to talk about different levels of engagement. And this young man here was on that course, on that workshop. And I like to think I've done a pretty good job as a coach educator. I think I'm quite good. But he then, 2 days later, did this. We did not do this. So again, there's a challenge there, isn't there, in terms of learning, translating into practice, knowing and doing. And so we now know that we need to consider how we support learning and development for coaches in a different way. We now know that, so what happened in this scenario was, I walked over to Kieran and I said, Kieran, what's the this session? He goes, I know it's a bit chaotic, isn't it? It's not chaotic, it's really structured. Look, they're all standing around moving to cones. And I said, yeah, look, I'm not really sure what to do. I'm trying to get him to do this sort of movement pattern. I said, well, I'll tell you what, can I just, we'll do something, a different option, right, and just show you a different way of doing this. So we played a 7v7 game, and I created different scoring channels that the players could drive towards, and we saw the movement happening. And he went, I get it now. Now the thing was, I needed to bring it to life for him. So he knew it, just couldn't translate it, do it. But by helping him solve the problem there, in the moment, with the challenge that he was facing right then, it was real. Right, now I see how you do this. Now I see the way this can work. Even though we conceptualised it, we've done it practically, it was in the real world based on these real challenges that we needed to try to. So we're trying to do this thing, I like pictures, so what I call building a coaching house. And it's a way of kind of putting the plan on a page, if you like. So we know we want to improve the experience. So our big objective is to make our coaching more diverse. We know, for example, that one of the best ways in which you can engage audiences who are underrepresented in sport is to have a workforce that is representative of them. From their communities, looks like them, talks like them, acts like them, understands, and is empathetic towards the challenges they face. So one of the reasons we want, to increase the number of women in the coaching workforce isn't just because it's a kind of a lofty ideal that we can make a song and dance about. It's because it helps us to do all the things that we need to do with campaigns like This Skill Can. One of the things that we've been challenged with is that This Skill Can is great, but there's no activation underneath it. So the workforce we need around women, so that we hope to launch something along the lines of This Skill Can Coach in the future, to encourage more women into coaching. In order to do all this, we need to change the culture and the perception. It's very dominated by performance narratives, as well as, if I'm honest, it's quite hyper-masculine in its nature in terms of the language of coaching, which can be very off-putting. And in so doing, we want to increase good experiences and reduce the number of bad experiences. In order to do all that, we need to increase accessibility. We need to make the culture learning, not qualifications driven. We need to make sure that we can support learning and development and transfer learning into practice. Find some way of measuring this. I don't really have the answer yet, but we're looking at different ways of measuring and track and communicate what we're doing. And then the big task is to try and enhance or improve the delivery infrastructure. Because the coach education world is dominated by different conceptualizations of how learning and development takes place. And in order to do that, we're going to get partners who can help us, who've got specialisms. We're going to invest in some technology, and we're going to try and get more research and innovation to support what we're doing, hence why I'm here. Because hopefully this might influence future directions of research to support us with what we're trying to achieve. Now, two main partners in the support work of this are UK Coaching and SPARC. UK Coaching are and Andy's here at the back, who works within the UK Coach Developer work, and he's right at the coalface of this. They're our kind of learning and development partner and supporting the work we're trying to do. And SPARC, many people may not have heard of. It's a Chartered Institute for Management and Sport and Physical Activity. It really shouldn't have the management bit, but anyway. It's the first time the sports have a Chartered Institute. And they are working with me to develop a bit of a transformation in the way we provide and the way we train and educate people for all sector roles. And coaching is the first cab off the rank. And in many ways, it's the place that we're testing and learning, because we've got to be able to do this in commercial health and commercial exercise and fitness, leisure, sports development, high performance, community sport. We've got to be able to look across all those sectors. And since we're working on that, we've just put significant investment into them to be able to develop a new suite of professional standards which will enable us to develop a much more flexible and dynamic learning and development ecosystem. So how we're doing that with SimSpur. If my hide, it's going to need loads of clickers. So what SimSpur are doing is they're looking at the development of a range of different professional statuses. So you're a student, you become a graduate, you become a member, you become a chartered member and a chartered fellow. And as we move forward through this, your professional status will map against your commitment to learning and development, your commitment and contribution to the industry. And so in time, as we become, as our coaching standards improve, you'll be able to become a chartered coach. So that will mean something. It will mean that you're committed to your learning and development, as opposed to being a level 3 coach like I am, who qualified 20 years ago. Now, I like to think I've been pretty committed to my CPD and ongoing learning and development, but I've got no way of evidencing that against anybody else, whereas if I have my professional status, then at least I've got something that... And most other sectors have this kind of thing, but we just never have. So we're trying to sort of professionalise a little bit, sadly. And then we've got these population-specific or environment-specific specialisms. So we've got a personal trainer in this case, this individual might be a member who has a population-specific of working in children who are inactive in a school environment, and some of them got long-term medical health conditions. And so what an individual will be able to do is to be able to tailor their learning and development to the environment in which they're going to be working within. And that's going to change constantly, day to day. So we're not going to get football coaches who I've got a level 2 going to work in an inner-city school with children from a completely different ethnicity, with a range of different learning difficulties, and expect them that their level 2 qualification is going to do that for them. What they're going to get as they move forward is they might have whatever the equivalent of their level 2 qualification is, but they'll need to have had the relevant additional learning and development to be able to make them suitable to work in those environments. So the idea being is that the context now defines learning. And individuals can develop their own individualised learning and development programme rather than being put through a kind of one-size-fits-all sausage factory of coach education. Here's Gloria, and like me, she's a Simpson Chartered Fellow. She works as a personal trainer, but she's a freelance hockey coach. So she, in her career, is going to be able to shift the direction of travel. So she's got all this different training, she's got her membership, and she's got her coach affiliation with a governing body, and that enables her to, and so she's actually a chartered fellow as a personal trainer, but a member as a hockey coach. So you've got these differentiated models. Now all this radically changes our, because all these professional standards are designed to make coaches more employable. And the standards are written in a way about not just the technical capabilities and the knowledge, but also behaviours. So it makes them more, we're working now to make them more employable, so they're ready to go. What we found with a lot of graduates in particular is that many of the governing bodies haven't found that they're employable necessarily. They've got a lot of the knowledge, and they're very knowledgeable, but they haven't got that kind of that experience of actually working in different community contexts. So they end up having to sort of work at the bottom and work their way up. What we're saying is actually, realistically, many of these graduates are fantastic, and it's a waste of resource and talent. If we can reframe the way the AG provides the learning and development to make it much more applied, then these people come out and they're an absolute asset to our industry. Now that's challenging AG in quite a big way, I've got to be honest with you. And SimSpur are working with a range of different AG partners now to sort of move in this direction. SimSpur have also become the regulator for all sports qualifications, which gives them added teeth. So, so we're hoping to try and bring transformation through AG, transformation through FE, transformation through apprenticeships, and a transformation through governing body-led coach education schemes. So I'm not going to talk about that. Hopefully, I'll finish by just saying this is the sort of thing we're looking to try and produce.
Those things extremely funny. Margaret makes us do idiotic things, and you can't do straight face. In fact, the muscles that she exercises most are cheek muscles.
She makes you feel at ease all the time.
She's just amazing. She's just amazing. She wants the best out of me, and she's so good at what she does. And she motivates us, and lovely. She's such a people person, and she just has the right sort of sense of humour. So when you do the classes, you are laughing the whole time, and it doesn't seem onerous. It is fun. So for a whole hour, you're having fun, and it's really good.
Well, it gives me something to look forward to every week.
So somebody suggested Margaret. I came up here and it was a godsend. But that's changed.
When I was 6, I was actually run over by a lorry, and they thought I'd never move again, walk again, but I learnt to dance. My mother sent me to dancing, and from there on I won a scholarship to a school in dancing in London, and then I started to teach lay-down movement, which I've done for nearly 50 years. I think they get enjoyment from it, and I hope that they gain their fitness, and I think they gain in friendship, and we've done many things together.
It's changed every aspect of my life because I'm quite a serious person, and coming here, our teacher makes it so much fun, and for me it's therapeutic. I relax, I forget what aches and pains I've got, and by the time I've finished, I feel fine. Now I walk the dog and I don't have to worry about anything. I can play with my grandchildren, I can run up and downstairs, I can lift them, I can do so many things I can do. So, you know, she's an angler, really, very hungry. A highlight of my week is coming to keep fit. I really wouldn't miss that keep fit lesson. It's very beneficial for my body and my well-being.
It's a different type of context, but no less important in my view. And the transformation that lady, through having genuine connection with individuals, because she's vibrant, she's active, she's the same age as the people that she's engaging with. She understands their issues, she understands the fact that their aches and pains and different challenges and traumas and all that sort of stuff. But because of that makes her exquisitely able to meet their needs in their environment they're working in. And the problem we have in our sector at the moment is that people like Margaret aren't really recognised, and also and the skill and the qualities that she has aren't really recognised. So our aim really is to be able to try and make more Margarets if we can, who are able to meet the needs of a range of different people. Like I said, it's a work in progress. I've by no means finished. We're 3 years into the programme. I was looking at the plan the other day and looking at all the things that we haven't done yet and all the things that need a lot more time to do, and how hugely ambitious this project is. But it gives you a sense of the direction of travel and the influence and how